Hey guys, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. Haven't seen you since my June wrap up, and today I'm giving you my July wrap up because I have read in July. So I managed to read 5 books in July, and let me tell you about them. So the first book that I read was I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. I read this because I have been listening to the My Favorite Murder podcast from the very beginning, and they were talking about this book, and I love true crime and murder. So I was really interested in this book, and I know that it was printed or released after the author died, so I was really interested in that. However, I DNF'd it, so that's why I said 5. I managed to make it 200 pages in and just realized that I didn't care about this book at all. For me, the writing was really clunky. Like, it's not like a solid timeline. Like, this is about the Golden State Killer, and there's no like solid timeline that she goes with. Like, she starts the book with like the first murders that she thinks are attributed to this killer, but then she like talks about her own life, and then she goes on like a tangent with like some different murders, and for me it just was not working. So I decided to DNF this. I think it was a good decision, so no rating for that one. I gave it a solid try, but it just wasn't working for me, and that's okay. I thought that maybe trying to read a nonfiction book would get me out of a slump, but that didn't work, especially not that one, so it was a good try. The next book that I read, I actually listened to on the way up to Maryland for my baby shower, and that is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, and we listened to the original like CDs because I was like number 150 on audiobook from Overdrive for holds. So the CDs were available at my library, so we listened to the CDs of this, and it was really good. It was super short. I think it was only like 8 hours, and so that whole entire trip actually takes like 12 hours going back and forth, so we had some extra time, but it was really nice. I have actually never listened to Harry Potter before, so it was a new experience for me, and my husband, I think like when he first ever read Harry Potter, he listened to it, so it was good going back to that. I gave this 5 stars. I know you're shocked and surprised, but I'm always gonna give Harry Potter 5 stars. That's not true. Let's be honest. Chamber of Secrets and Order of the Phoenix, I'm not gonna give 5 stars to. But I did give 5 stars to the first one. So I read this, I listened to it, and great. The next book that I read, I actually read for book club, and that is Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. I gave this book 3 stars. I think in my Goodreads review I say 3 stars question mark, 3.5 stars question mark, and I still feel the same way about it. I think I'm leaning at 3 stars. Even though this is contemporary, it's more magical realism because the main character, Jack King, goes back in time. He's in a time loop, and it was an interesting concept. However, since he's stuck in a time loop, I just felt like some of the plot was super repetitive, and like we went back to the exact same spot every time, and I was like, we've literally done this 6 times. So for me, that got a little frustrating and boring, and yeah, it took me also a while to get into the writing, especially their dialogue. I had like a really hard time getting in how they all like spoke to each other, which that took me like a solid 100 pages to be like catch on to that flow. So that was weird for me, but all in all, like, I finished this book. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I know it has been optioned for a film, I think, and I actually think it will do really well as a movie because it hopefully won't be so repetitive when we go back. Like, it'll be entertaining, but for me, reading it over and over and over and over again was just like super boring. So 3 stars for Opposite of Always. Glad I read it. Yeah. The next book that I read was A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Coletti. I also gave this 3 stars. I thought I was gonna like this a lot more than I did because this was Madeline from Novel Inc.'s favorite book of 2018 that I was trying to do that series and that failed miserably, but I still wanted to read this. I think what turned me off about this book is that it was written in 3rd person, so I felt like very far away from the main character. Like I never felt like I really understood her because we were looking at it from the outside. I think this would have been much more effective for me if we were actually like in the main character's head. This is a story about a girl who runs from, I believe, Washington State to Washington, D.C. And it's her and her grandfather. He's in an RV and he's following her around, and it's about all the people she meets after a tragedy that happens to her. She's basically triggered after something awful happens to her and starts running for change. And I liked that concept a lot. I also liked that you didn't find out what happened to her until like the very end of the book. So you're kind of always in suspense about why is she running, like what happened to her, what could have happened. I just feel like the 3rd person narrative, like it sucked for me. I did not like it. It felt very like far away from this book and this character. So I ended up giving this 3 stars. If you like 3rd person narrative, try it. I thought it was a good contemporary. I really like hard-hitting contemporaries. I just did not like the way this was written at all. Like I felt like it could have been much more effective if it was 1st person. That's just a me thing. Madeline loved it. A lot of people loved it, but I've seen other reviews that are like, why 3rd person? Can totally agree with that. So yeah. And the last book that I read for July was actually a reread, and the reason that I reread this is because I saw that my friend Alana had read this on Goodreads, and I commented on it and I was like, oh my god, I love that book so much. And then I decided to reread it, and that is Every Last Word by Tamara Ireland Stone. I think I read this about 3 years ago. I was definitely here, yeah, so probably about 3 years ago, and I really loved this. And I loved it just as much the second time I read it, and I gave it 5 stars. So this is my second 5-star read of the month. This is a story about a girl named Samantha, or Sam as she prefers to be called, and she is in this friend group and they don't really understand her, and she's diagnosed with OCD, I think, and she meets this new friend and gets into this new group and starts doing poetry, which when I first read this I really didn't appreciate, but I appreciated it more this time. And also there's like a big twist at the end of this book that I remembered because it was so like, I was so caught off guard the first time I read it, but this time I could see the clues for it and I was like, how did I miss that the first time? But this time, since I knew it was gonna happen and I saw all those clues, I was like, this was so good. I thought it was really well written. It's 1st person, so I enjoy that. It's contemporary. It deals with mental illness. So I really liked this one a lot. I'm glad I reread it. It was a fast read, and there were just like some things that I totally forgot that I'm really glad like I went back. So thanks Alana for reading this so I could reread it. And that is everything that I read in July. Currently, I am reading Beautiful Bastard by Christina Lauren because it is Twilight fanfiction, which I didn't know. So I'm very excited about that. I am like 3 chapters in and it is smutty. It's definitely different from any other Christina Lauren I have read, so I'm very excited about that. Thanks for watching my video. See you in my next one. Bye!